4 tips to overcome anxiety. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. I'm going to tell you how. Now, I have to tell you, these tips are a combination of mental work and physical work. So make sure you stay tuned so you can hear all 4 of them and how they combine mental and physical. And the reason that is important is because when we're rebooting and rewiring your brain so that it's less anxious, we need to incorporate your mind and your body to use what I always call both sides of the street. We're going to train it from the bottom up to the brain and from the brain down to the body. Okay, so tip number 1 is reframe your automatic negative thoughts. All right, I know what you're thinking. You've heard that before and it doesn't work. It does work. And Dr. Daniel Amen, one of my mentors, he calls them ants. And the way I think about it is the ants keep marching in. Automatic negative thoughts. Now, I even have to do this sometimes in my own life. So right now I feel like all I do is cook 4 meals a day for my 5 beautiful children. But sometimes when that stresses me out, I reframe it because my first 4 kids are 17, 16, 15, and almost 14. So what that means is 4 years from now, they'll all be gone. So when I get overwhelmed with the amount of food I feel like I have to prepare for them, I think to myself, in 4 years, they'll be gone. And that right now is a beautiful time for us to spend together. And I put on some Italian cooking music, pour a little glass of wine, and I engage in it as a fun process of hanging out with my fam squad before they leave me forever. That is a framework shift, and you can do it with just about everything. I have a friend who always says, you get to, meaning you get to. You don't have to. You get the privilege of all the things that you get to do today simply because you're alive. Okay, number 2 is figure out your anxiety triggers. Now, if you've had anxiety for a while, you maybe have done this, but do it on paper. Don't sit around thinking about it. Literally go through your days and try to become more self-aware at what is triggering those little panic attacks or those feelings of anxiety inside. Then write them down. Now, this is the most important part. After you write it down, think if there's a way you can reframe that. Think if there's a way you can either avoid the trigger, not all triggers can be avoided, or you can move through the trigger in a better way with less anxiety. So many times, there's a strategy that can help you move through it, but you might not be able to see it because your brain's cranking with high beta anxiety mode, problem-seeking mode. Slow your brain down, write the triggers down, and try to see if there's another way. And if you can't do that yourself, a therapist could help you do that. Okay, so then, moving right along, this is something that I do daily. You can do a brain dump, is what I call it. And for 30 minutes a day, you schedule when you're gonna worry. I know it sounds weird, but really what you're doing is you're giving your brain the time to get all of that worry out. And sometimes when you get it out on paper, then you're no longer holding it in your brain. And what that does is it will inherently bring high beta down because you're no longer hanging on to all of that. And what I do is every day I dump, first thing in the morning, I dump all the stuff in my brain out on paper and I pick the 3 things that I'm going to take care of today. The 3 things that are the most important, but I still have everything on paper. Then the next day I can see I did the 3 things from yesterday and I can prioritize the 3 things for that day. Most worries are things that never come true. So another strategy you can do is look at that worry and go, you know what? Am I going to become homeless today? Probably not. And it takes the fear out of the worry because it's in there, it's swirling around, but when you look at it on paper, you can say to yourself, that's likely not going to happen, or there's no action step I can take towards it today. Okay, and then lastly, this is a very physical technique, but it's something that I do probably multiple times a day, is tensing up the muscles that feel like they're holding tension for you. Mine's always my shoulders and my neck. Tighten them and then let them go. And what you'll feel is it's the relaxation in your muscles you'll feel how tight you typically hold them and how loose they can actually get. By activating those muscles, what you're doing is sending the signal from your body up to your brain that it's time to relax when you loosen them. When you're tightening them, it will create more high beta in your brain because it's a negative feedback loop. when you actively let them go and let them loose, that will help your brain come down too. Okay, I hope these tips help you, but remember, if you've tried tips like this before, or you try these and you cannot use these tips, it might be time to consider having your brain mapped so you can see what's going on in there, see if your brain is using much too much high beta, which we know causes and perpetuates anxiety, and if you'd be a good candidate for neurofeedback brain training. It's the number one thing that you can do to bring that high beta down without trying. And that's why it works so effectively, and there's tons of science that shows that it does. So if you can't use these techniques, consider it. Reach out to me, info@drtrishleigh.com. Even if you don't come to me, I'm happy to set you up with the right practitioner for you, or get you moving in the right direction so that you can stop being part of that 39.6% of people who isn't getting help. Help's around the corner, and it totally works. And in 6 months, you can be a different version of yourself. That is the real deal. So go for it if it feels good. Okay, and remember, control your brain or it'll control you.